Hello, my name is Ariel, like the mermaid, and in this video I'm going to talk about labels. So labels. Some queer people love them, some queer people hate them. What labels are, there's all sorts of labels. There's labels of sexuality, that means gay, straight, bisexual, pansexual, polysexual, whatever, asexual. Those are all forms of labels of your sexuality. There's labels of gender. There's man, woman. There's gender fluid, gender queer, agender. There's all sorts of labels for your gender too. Why some people though, I think that you may hear occasionally queer people say, oh, I hate labels, I don't like labels. And there's some queer people that very much depend upon labels. And why is that? Why is there a lot of different attitudes towards labels? I think that part of the thing you have to understand about the queer experience is that a lot of times it's very hard to frequently you're put into a position where you have to explain your sexuality, you have to explain your gender, you have to explain yourself, which nobody should have to explain themselves. But queer people are frequently put in a situation where they feel like they have to, or even if people aren't like necessarily forcing them to explain themselves, sometimes you just kind of feel the need to give an explanation. Particularly if you're not, a lot of times people will easily accept, oh, that person's gay, oh, that person's straight. A lot of times, if you're one of the more known labels, then it's a bit easier. But if you are attracted to more than one gender, if you don't identify with as male or female, that's when it can be hard, and when it can be it's a little bit more difficult to so some of these people from having to feel like they have to explain themselves, or just feeling like none of the labels really can adequately describe their sexuality or adequately describe their gender or whatever about them. Some people just are like, you know what, I don't like any of these labels. I don't feel like, and also some people just feel really limited by a label. If you, for example, if you feel like, I don't think of myself as gay, I don't think of myself as straight, and then any other label, people are just going to, because a lot of times a big problem that people who are bisexual, pansexual, polysexual, etc. Face is that people don't treat their sexuality as legitimate. And are like, oh no, you must be actually just attracted to this gender. Oh, you must be attracted just to this gender. And that can be very discouraging, so a lot of people who go through that are just kind of like, well, you know what, fuck that. Then fuck it, I'm not going to have any label, I'm not going to label it. So that's one thing that is an experience that a lot of people face. Some people really love labels, and they love, like, you know what, I love that I can identify as pansexual, because then people will understand I'm attracted to all genders, and it's in one word that encompasses that idea. I really like that I can identify as genderqueer, because, it means that I don't identify as either male or female, and it really just encompasses that idea. I identify as a gender other than that, and, it really encompasses that idea, and it can just kind of in one word describe that. So for a lot of people, it can be very empowering to have a label that can, and it also can make you, also what's great about it is it can make you feel like you're less alone. You can be like, when you discover, oh, like this group of people that identifies as pansexual or polysexual or whatever, and says, oh, I have this kind of, this is my sexuality, then it's really empowering to discover, oh, hey, like this is a group of people who also has this sexuality like me, or this is a group of people who feels the same way about their gender. And that can be very empowering, because that's another thing about the queer experience. A lot of times you grow up in an environment where there's not a lot of people out as queer, and not a lot of people that, think that, or necessarily openly are saying things that are the same way that you think about yourself, or about your sexuality, or about whatever. So it can be very empowering, like especially if you're like online, you discover a community, and you know it's very empowering to feel like you're not alone sometimes. So, and just to feel like you just have a term, there's like some sort of word that can describe what you are. It can be very empowering. So, some people the point is some people like labels, some people hate labels, and I think you should be understanding either way. And there's a reason for why. And I think the bottom line is, I think it's great if you have a label that can describe your sexuality, describe your gender. I think that sometimes that can be very useful. I think it can be a powerful tool. One thing I would say, don't let any label limit you. Don't feel like you have to live up to a label. Don't feel like, if you label yourself as something and you feel like that limits people's perception of you, it just limits you in any way, and that's a big problem, and that's a reason why a lot of people don't like labels, is because they feel that it limits you. Then, I mean, you don't need a label, you know, you don't let a label limit you in any way, you know, try not to let it limit you in any way, is what I would say, but labels, they're a thing.